Hello, welcome. I'm so excited to be face to face on one of these readings. I feel like I have been doing a lot of card readings, which I love to do. There's something really, I've noticed it before. When I first started doing personal readings, I would do them, I would like film myself and I would show you the cards. And people, maybe if you've been with me that long, you remember back when I would do that. And what I started to find is the channeling got really dead on points, more specific when I channeled without me involved at all, because I was just a vessel. I was 100% just a vessel. You couldn't see my face. There was no projection that I could be right there. Like I just wasn't involved. It was like I took myself out of it completely. And I'm sure other readers probably know what I'm talking about if you have your own channels and you know experience things like that, or you know what it's like. So anyway, so the past couple weeks I've just been really guided to doing a lot of readings because the energy has been intense. And so the astrology readings are up in my Patreon for all tiers. So that's a gift to the seeker tier, who the seeker tier is predominantly for extended readings. However, there are some extra bonuses you get, like you get exclusive, like you're going to view this video before YouTube gets to view it. And I also will share stream of consciousness shares and transmissions within the Patreon that you get access to that I never share on YouTube. So you get a little bit more of a vulnerable experience, or more of my vulnerable shares and that sort of experience there. But this month I was really guided to share a gift with the seeker, which is the first tier, the extended readings tier, of astrology readings for this month of May, because May is freaking crazy. And we're basically starting it off with this eclipse, which is what this reading is going to be about. So long-winded way to get there. But yeah, so I am really excited to be back face to face, because I've done all these readings, the astrology readings, and I've been doing the almost personal readings, which are so fun. There's so much in there to grab. But this is going to be focusing on this new moon in Taurus we have, and this eclipse coming up on April 30th. And I believe I did look up the time. I believe it's like 4:30 Eastern time, something like that. Wherever you, depending on where you are in the world. But that is coming. And we all know eclipses are fun, intense. I will let you get your astrology information from somewhere else. This is not going to be an astrology reading. This is going to be tapping into that energy that we're approaching with that eclipse. And I'm going to just pull some cards and see how that might affect us. And again, I think I'm going to keep it pretty general, pretty broad. Like I'm not going to ask anything specific if it's going to be about twin flames or soulmates or you personally or your, whatever. I'm just going to keep it really broad, and we'll just see what type of energy wants to come up and how that might be affecting us, and how it might how we might be able to work with that energy. So that's kind of what we're diving into today. I didn't look up much about the eclipse. Sometimes I like to do these readings very blind, and then you can cross-reference later, like, what is astrology saying about this eclipse? So that might be kind of fun. But the one thing I do know is that this is the second eclipse within this Scorpio Taurus axis that we have been in. And the first one, I believe, was in November of 2021. So there may be things that were happening then that eclipse kind of brought to the surface that now is being brought up again, essentially, and finalized, or really figured out. And the best way to look at eclipses is it's kind of like the cosmic push. It is the cosmic divine intervention if we haven't been listening, if we haven't been taking action. So everything that happens in an eclipse is for our highest good, our highest benefit, because it's the divine. But that doesn't mean it always feels easy or comfortable, especially if we've been really clinging on to some things in our life that we think are for us, but maybe aren't for us. And being in Taurus, I can only imagine this is going to be around security, safety, possessions, 3D world things. So, jobs, money, resources, relationships, some of those things could be taken out, taken away from us this month. And but if we've been doing that work ourselves, and we've really been clearing and laying the groundwork ourselves, then there could be some 3D gifts and blessings and abundance that come through. So it's really how we've been working with the energy ourselves. But seeing if there's anything that the guides want to share as I'm shuffling the cards. It really, you know, this is a message that's been channeled in personal readings lately, and it's just been a mantra I've been hearing, and it really is expect the unexpected. So how do we do that? How do we expect the unexpected? Well, you can't expect something that you can't perceive that is unexpected. You can't expect it, right? So it's more being in a state of receiving, being open and ready to receive, being in a state of surrender. And you're in a state of surrender and trust, and knowing that whatever finds you, whatever comes to you is for you, that anything that you are maybe currently manifesting or really calling to you, that you know it's going to come in perfect divine alignment and divine timing. And really trusting that. So kind of getting out of the controller mode that we can sometimes find ourselves in. The eclipse, not to worry, because the eclipse, if you are in any form of control or tight grip on your experience, your reality, the eclipse will come in and will like smack you over the back of the head real quick. I'm really grateful that the things that I was trying to control in my life in the past, there was like, especially divine feminines, we're kind of going through a tricky, rough patch a little bit ago. I would say maybe like a couple weeks ago, but really what my guides showed me is that we were being upgraded. And so we, you know, you always think the upgrades are over, but the upgrades just keep coming and coming and coming. And during an upgrade period, you're going to feel very tender, very raw, very sensitive. It can translate as you're feeling kind of like hormonal, but oftentimes it doesn't correlate to anything within that. It's just that's how you feel, and you need a lot of rest and you need a lot of stillness, and things in your external world can be very triggering, because what my guides have shown me is what happens when you're going through an upgrade and then you do upgrade. If you have people in your world that you're pretty close with, that are around you all the time, they experience that upgrade that you went through energetically, whether they can consciously say that or not. And it actually does trigger them. Like, and I don't mean trigger in like this negative way, but they feel it, and it brings them into like a subconscious awareness that they have not gone through that upgrade yet. And then they have to kind of recalibrate to your energy, because we are very social creatures and we are really working with one another all the time. And so just imagine, you know, you have this perceived harmony, and you're both operating off a similar belief or similar something, right? And then one person kind of shifts, they just transition. And this person then is like, what's going on? And it's all not spoken, right? Because it's all in the energetic realm. So it's a little bit confusing. So that being said, feminines were going through kind of a challenging spot there, because it was like you were upgrading and then you were experiencing resistance in your external world. Like people were like, what's happening? Things are shifting again. And you know, for the most part, most of us don't really enjoy change as much as we might think we do. We don't really enjoy it. It does take a little bit of a recalibration. Anyways, the feminines were kind of going through that. And I myself, while I was in that, was experiencing old fears, old worries, old stuff that was coming up to the surface. And I definitely felt myself in that like gripping. Yeah, so you may have experienced that as well. I would say, I don't keep track of time very well, but I want to say it was like a couple weeks ago. And when I finally just slowed down and decided to rest, and I just said, you know what, and throw my hands up. Like I had all these projects, all these things I wanted to accomplish. I was very in my masculine prior to that happening. I was very in my masculine energy. I was like, let's go, you know, it's spring. And then that happened. And then I realized pretty quickly, like, you're going to need to sit down. You're going to need to sit down. And as soon as I did that, I experienced the surrender. And then after an upgrade, once you come out of it, which I would say that's kind of where I am personally, so I'd be curious if you guys are as well, you feel refreshed, you feel kind of buoyant, you feel joyful, you feel light. You're like, I always explain it, and this is, you know, some people might be triggered by this, some people won't. Plant medicine has been a huge part of my experience, my spiritual journey. And if you've ever done, like, if you've ever worked with plant medicine, ayahuasca, mushrooms, whatever, there is this period where if you're using it in a very ceremonious way and very spiritually, you go through the fire, right? There's like, I mean, some ayahuasca, I think, anyways, I'm not going to go off on a tangent. I'm going to stay focused. You go through a transformation. You go through a dark night of the soul. You go through some heaviness and some shadow. But then when you come out of it, you're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. You're like glowing. You're literally glowing because you do shed layers and you let go of old energy. So that's kind of how I feel the upgrades work for us on these spiritual ascension journeys. And that's kind of the place I'm sitting in. So long story short, I'm really grateful that that occurred prior to eclipse, because I think if you're set up in a place where you're very conscious and you're very aware prior to eclipse season, you don't really have anything to worry about in terms of like tower moments that are going to be unexpected. Everything that's going to find you is going to be pretty expected. Like you're going to be like, you again, old friend, here you are, you know, whatever it is. Okay, that was a lot of jabbering. I literally said to the guides, I was like, we're just gonna do a reading on the moon. That's it. We're not gonna talk. We're not gonna babble. They had other ideas, I guess. So here we go. Tell us about this new moon in Taurus, Spirit. What do you want us to know? What's the most dominant energy? Fascinating. Okay, so where in our life have we been holding back? Where in our life have we been stingy with our emotions, with our heart, with how we truly feel? That's what I'm getting. Can't make this shit up. We have the King of Cups here at the bottom of my deck. Very stoic king, especially for ruling the emotions and the heart with the cups. He's very stoic. He's holding on to this cup. He's gripping this cup. He's gripping the cup. There's our theme. We have beneath this king, he has this 9 of Cups. He has this awareness. I'm sorry. Oh no, it is the 9 of Cups. I was like, is this the 10? Of what his eyes on the prize, what he wants, this fulfillment, this what would feel like a solve, what would feel really good on the heart. Like it's an awareness of how to get from point A to point B. It's an awareness of how to feel buoyant again. That word buoyant keeps coming up for some reason. The Lovers here, okay? I love this card. This Lovers is particularly magical. Yeah, because it's the matters of the heart. It's the choices of the heart. When do I choose to listen to my heart? When do I really hear it? Or when do I turn away? Where do I turn away from my own heart? Because you guys, at the end of the day, yeah, we're talking about love here. We're talking about relationships, but it is always the relationship with self. It is always our ability to love and hold ourselves is our ability to love and hold another, just flat out. There's really no way to get around that, no matter what type of connection you're dealing with. Soulmate, twin flame, parent, child, sister, brother, it doesn't matter. How we treat ourselves is always going to show up in those relationships, and it's always going to be a reflection. So I was going into the deeper layers of the energy. I did not share with you the card that fell out. So this is our theme, y'all. This is our theme of this eclipse. This is the 5 of Pentacles. So there's several messages coming through, because I feel for many, it is going to feel like a solve. I think I'm saying that word right. Like a bomb, like a solve. Okay, you can let me know in the comments. You can rip me in the comments if you want. For some, I think we are actually going to be finding that zone of grace, that zone of relief, that zone of like, after like a really long battle and feeling very, very alone. And this could be in the head. Like maybe you have hundreds of people around you at all times, but you still feel alone in a sea of people. But I also feel like this speaks to kind of that scarcity, that lack mindset. Like, where are we feeling not good enough? Where do we feel like we can't actually take it to the next level? Where do we feel like we can't ascend? What in our life do we feel like we are powerless with and that we can't change? Like, you know, where is all that coming from? And this eclipse is really going to bring us straight, like face to face with that. And so the message I'm getting is that I feel for some, kind of prior to what I was sharing before I started the reading, well, it's all a reading, baby, was around, you know, if you've done the work, if you've done the inner work, if you've been in relationship with yourself, if you haven't been stingy with your heart and your desires, and you've been making choices from the heart, this eclipse could feel like a reward. It could feel like a blessing. It could feel like a gift. It could feel very light and buoyant and joyful. in this very sensual rooted Tauran way, right? Because it's Taurus. So it's going to feel very grounded. I personally love Taurus season. I love when the moon's in Taurus. I love Taurus energy. It feels so good. It's grounding, it's solid, it's sturdy, especially with my more watery, fiery energy. I really, that it's a balm for me. It's a balm, it's a salve, right? It just feels so good. So I feel that there's an opportunity for many of you to have that feeling. For some, because there's always layers, and there's always light and dark. For some, it could be like a wake-up call. It could be spirit really coming through hot and heavy and letting you know, like showing you in like instant, like it's kind of this idea of instant karma, like the instant boomerang. You are rude to somebody at the grocery store. I don't know why all my scenarios happen at the grocery store. That's where everything happens in my life, you guys. Anyways, you're rude to someone at the grocery store. Literally like 2 seconds later, somebody runs into you and with their cart, and then you have like a huge bruise on your leg or something, right? It's that sort of energy. It feels like it's going to be really quick for some. And so what's positive about that, what's really good about that, is you will have time to correct it really quickly. Like you'll know. I'm going to share a story, and this is a very personal story, and I definitely don't want to take too much time. Like okay, let me preface it with, there is no judgment from me in terms of people's diets and what people choose to eat. I think it's a personal preference, and I think we're all a part of the whole. We're all one. And so I just want to say that, because what I'm going to share is I eat predominantly vegan. I eat predominantly vegetarian. And there's many reasons for that, but the strongest why for me is because of the animals. I love the benefits of the environment and, the cruelty and the health benefits and all of that. But for me, the why is the animals. It always has been. And I'm an intuitive eater at that, though. So when my body craves fish, I will go eat the fish, and I will bless the fish and give thanks for the fish. So I just wanted to preface it that, like, I'm not making anyone wrong by saying this. If you eat steak every day, good on you. So I had an experience where I had gone on like a really long hike, and I was in a small sort of town, and there wasn't a lot of options for food, and I just didn't pack enough snacks, and I was starving. So I stopped at this coffee shop, and they did have a vegan option. It was like an avocado toast or something. I was like, oh, can I get the avocado toast? And they were like, we're out. So the only other thing that they had was cheese, was like dairy, but I was starving. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this. But I had, the thing about it is I had a misalignment about it. Like it didn't feel right. It'd be one thing if it was one of those intuitive eating things where it was like, my body was like, yes, we need the cheese, eat it, get it, right? No problem. Like totally in full body alignment, but I wasn't. And it wasn't a guilt thing. It was more just my body didn't really want that. Actually, what my body was craving was like protein, was like avocado, was nuts, but I got it. And then after eating it on my drive home, like maybe like 15, 20 minutes later, I was stopped in traffic, like gridlock traffic, next to a truck full of cows that were being driven to slaughter. And I literally started bawling, like, because I'm making eye contact with these cows through the bars. And it was an intense experience, I have to say. And I think the reason my guide set that up wasn't to punish me, it wasn't to make me feel bad. It was to show me the energy of right now, that we are experiencing instant awareness for our actions. And so that really set the pace for me to understand, like, cool, when I do misstep, when I go out of alignment for my personal self, not out of alignment for anyone else's ideas about me, but when I step out of alignment for what's not correct for me, they're going to let me know very quickly. That's the energy I'm getting of this eclipse. It's very quick. Eclipses tend to have a fast energy, but it's like, think of that as a gift in many ways, because I think in the past we've kind of bumbled along in spiritual journeys and we haven't known, like, is this right for me? Is this not? We could be stuck in relationships for years and years that were wrong for us. And we kind of feel like they're wrong for us, but we're not bold enough to make the choice to let's really get out. Same thing with jobs, same thing with lifestyles, just our lives in general, because it wasn't so instantaneous. And I think that was partly the gridlock of the distortion energy and the inversion energy. But because we've ascended so quickly and there's this huge expansion of light on the planet and like the solar rays, and there's so many starseeds and light workers doing really, really fucking great work on this planet right now, it's more angelic. There's a lighter energy. Yes, there's darkness, because, you know, as light as it gets, as dark as it gets as well. That's kind of the polarity. So you may look around on days and be like, holy shit, I feel like it's worse than it's ever been. But you can also look around on other days and be like, I think it's better than it's ever been, right? So it's that push-pull. But that being said, because of that vibration of energy, we are able, the work is actually way more supported. The spiritual work and the spiritual path and journey is way more supported. And there's more clarity and there's more understanding, and we're all getting a lot more psychic and a lot more aware. So anyways, that message really wants to come through, that this eclipse is really bringing that in, and it's really bringing it in the heart is going to be very activated, but it's also going to be very rooted and grounded, right? Because we have here we go. We have the polarity between the pentacles and the cups. We can't live life seeking the pentacles. We have to live life seeking and honoring the cups, and then the pentacles follow. And if you're not super familiar with tarot, basically what that means is the cups represent the heart. It represents our intuition, the truth. And the pentacles represent the 3D, you know, the pentacles is like, oh, I just bought myself a really nice dress and I feel fabulous in this dress. But does this dress make me who I am? No. Is this dress connected to, you know, maybe you could have a heart connection to it, but it's, if you lose the dress, if you can't buy the dress, you're totally fine, right? Fill in the blank for house, car, whatever, you get it, money. So let me just see. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like, let me grab a little bit more energy, but it looks like the dominant energy is an opportunity for us to really see where we've been standing in our own way, where we've been keeping ourselves left out in the cold, in the dark, and the scarcity, and taking our power back from it and saying, you know what, I am a co-creator. You know what, I decide if I'm going to sit out in this cold and shiver or not. I decide, not someone else, not society, not the government, not your friends and family, not whoever, fill in the blank, whoever the villain is in your life, right? They do not decide. Okay. You do. And to confirm that, here we have our beautiful high priestess sitting on her throne. She is throning herself. I don't think that's a word. Crowning herself. There it is. There's a little bit of mystery to this eclipse is really what I'm getting from this. Hanged man, the Hierophant. Okay. 5 of Cups, 8 of Swords. So if you are sitting in your kind of victim feeling bad for yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. It happens. It happens. I am a big proponent of feel the emotions, allow them, honor them, but create space from them. So what I mean by that is have the human experience of feeling that emotion. Sorry for shaking the camera. But then be able to be outside of yourself as the watcher, as your higher self, as the high priestess, observing that emotion and being like, oh, how interesting. Very neutral, right? Oh, I'm having a human experience. I'm feeling sorry for myself. That's so interesting. Without judgment, without condemnation, without making yourself feel bad, right? That's the trick. Because so many of us avoid the deep work of the emotions and feeling emotions because we feel like it's weak, or there's something wrong with us, or it just sucks so bad and there's so much pain. But the reason that it sucks so bad is that you're identifying with it, is that you're making it who you are. It's the same thing as what we were talking about with the pentacles. When you make the pentacles who you are, you're setting yourself up for loss. Really, you're setting yourself up for scarcity, right? If the job is who you are, if the relationship, the person that you're with that makes you look good to society is who you are setting yourself up to be literally kicked around by the universe. You really are. And that's what these eclipses do. So hopefully most of us have done our work and we're not going to be kicked around. But the high priestess is really bringing an air of mystery. So if you can trust, if you can surrender, and if you do feel those emotions of the pain and the suffering, if you allow it to be, if you allow the pain and you allow the joy, okay? If you allow all of it, if you allow the choices of your past and you allow the choices of your future, the more empowering choices of your future, and you hold them all in this perspective, this higher hanged man perspective, right? I'm really drawn to the shadow and the light and very eclipsey energy here, right? With the moon there, full moon eclipse, but whatever. My ego was just like, is that even possible to have an eclipse on a full moon? Because I don't know anything about that type of thing. So I just got in my head. I got out of the channel for a second. Oh, but it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to admit you don't know very much, and I don't know very much. So all I know is energy. I know energy. Okay. So the 5 of Cups here with the 4 of Cups is really interesting. I like the progression. I will say that, because the 4 of Cups is kind of, it's someone who's a little bit afraid to allow the big feels. It's someone who's tippy-toeing around the big feels. So many of us have been tippy-toeing in our life around certain things, certain decisions, certain choices. Like, we know it needs to happen. We know it'll eventually happen. We know we'll leave that job. We know we'll take our power back. We know that we'll finally stand up to our mean monster boss, whatever it is. But we kind of tippy-toe around it, and we don't go fully into it. And so there's a progression here where it looks like, when you feel safe and when you feel grounded, and Taurus can really provide that feeling, you can allow yourself to truly feel. And it looks like there's an opportunity here for that. And there's a mysticism as well with, because what I think many of you might be surprised by is the second that you let yourself feel it, with this High Priestess, the second that you just say, you know what, I don't feel good, and I don't want to pretend that I do anymore. I just want to be honest with myself. You're going to realize it wasn't that scary. It wasn't that hard. That's a theme I'm actually getting really strong in the energy. They're like, yes, yes, yes. So, whatever it is, there could be things on your list. There could be something that's weighed on your heart for a while, because we're in the matters of the heart, that you've really known you needed to do. You need to get a weight off your chest. You need to speak a truth. You need to do some things. And it's not necessarily about the doing, right? It's more about the feeling, but you get what I'm saying. And you know it, but you've been holding back, or you've been a little bit afraid, or you've been like timid. You've been like kind of, there's a phrase I want to say, and I won't like it. I don't like it. So I'm not going to say it. I don't know why my guides, because I channeled that in a personal reading the other day, this same phrase. It's pussyfooting around. And I just don't like that phrase, because it makes it sound weak, and pussy is not weak. Okay. So anyhow, back on track. My energy is scattered today, you guys. Okay. When we can really embrace and own that, we're going to realize it wasn't as hard as we thought it was going to be. Whatever the thing is you're being guided to do, it's the divine is really trying to initiate us into just taking the step without knowing exactly what's going to happen or having a plan. It's like, take the action, take the step, the rest will follow, the rest will fill in. I'm being shown like a choose your own adventure book, right? From, what were those, like the 80s and the 90s, where they had those, like, you know, you could flip through, and I always cheated. Like, I was such a control freak. I was like, I am not about to be surprised. I'm going to find out if I chose the right. That's so funny about my little kid brain, was like, I can't handle the suspense. I don't want to be surprised. And I happen to love surprises now, but that's what I'm being shown. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure book. And it's like, you have to take the steps, and you have to trust that it's the divine, right, correct steps, and it will unfold exactly how it's meant to unfold. And so for many, I think there may be something that you are really guided to do. And then once you do it, not only do you feel such a sigh of relief, because man, is that a good feeling when you can cross something off and you're like, oh, I got it done. That thing, it's worse to just sit in it for a long time and think about it and know you have to do it than to just like do it. But not only will you feel that, but you'll also be like, what the heck was I so nervous about? Why was I in my head about that? Why was I fretting? That's an energy I'm getting. So whatever that is for you, I feel like many people are going to be changing careers. I don't know why I get that. I get something really strong about mission work and about your vocation. And I want to be clear, mission work and vocation do not have to be one and the same thing. Okay. There's perfect divine like honor in whatever your vocation is. What is not honorable is doing something for the money, or doing something for societal, I don't know, recognition, or doing something because you think it's a quick, easy fix, or it's like low-hanging fruit. It's not honorable to do anything that's what do I want to say here? Taking advantage of people. You know what I mean? Like dark energy, like, oh God, so many people do things. And I'm talking I'm not even talking about that they're like a drug dealer or something, right? I'm talking about like that they they could be an accountant, but they could be out of their integrity the entire time they're being that accountant. That is not honorable. So if any of us have been that and we've been cutting corners and trying to take advantage of people and again, it's all in the energy. It's all in your energy of how you do it. That's what has to change. And I do feel people are going to get ass kicks this eclipse, not necessarily this community or this collective, but out in the world, ass kicks for this eclipse. And now I'm actually really interested to research that from an astrologer's point of view, what will be going on the world stage with this eclipse. Because, you know, they always reflect. There's a lot of weird things happening right now in like the news and stuff. But anyways, I don't want to talk about that. I just lost a card. It's on the floor. Okay, let's see. I have 2 cards on the floor. Okay, well, let me deal with the energy here. If they want to run away from me, we're going to let them run away from me. Okay, so this is really beautiful. We have the 10 of Swords. I'll give you a visual. Despair. But we also have the Ace of Wands, the new beginning, crossed by the Fool. Ooh, and I just saw 6 of Wands, success. Success over this energy. Success over this energy. I really feel that. It's possible. And here's the deal. Even if it doesn't feel like it on the day of this eclipse or the energy following it or preceding it, even if it doesn't feel and you feel crunchy, that's the way I like to describe difficult emotions or experiences, and it feels crunchy and it's just like, oh, I just want to get in the flow. I just want it to feel good. And it's just not feeling good. It's not feeling good. Know that it is happening for the exact divine purpose and it's unfolding exactly how it's meant to. And what's around the corner is this new beginning. And I know we've been talking about it for so long. This is what happens when you have spiritual sight. You can see energy way down the road, but you have no idea when it's going to happen. It's a gift and it's a curse. It's so frustrating for me because I'm like, I have visions of the future and I know exactly what's going to happen because I can tap into that timeline, but I can't know. They won't tell me when it's going to happen. And so it's almost like at times I wish I was ignorant. I wish I could just like do. And a lot of you probably relate because you're very psychic yourselves. And it's especially for a divine feminine, because the divine feminine really sees the whole picture and she sees the future. She sees that. And it's masculine energy that's very narrow focused, that's very present. Like they're like, if you want me to do something right now in this moment, I will do it. But when it comes to out there, I don't know what's out there and it's scary. That's just a little, that was a play, masculine versus feminine. Anywho, so there is this new beginning and I know we've talked about it for a while, but Spirit is really like confirming it over and over. And I got to get the cards on the floor because my curiosity will, wow, there's 3. Oh my God. Well, they're pretty good cards. So I don't know if this landed up or down, but we do have the 9 of Swords, the fear. But the best part about that is we have the 10 of Swords here. So it's the progression. So this has been a very symmetrical reading. All my readings lately have been very symmetrical. And I love when that happens because it means the energy is very flowing. It's not choppy. It's not crunchy. So we have this progression here, which is, love it. So this is the anxiety. This is the fear, everything we've kind of been talking about, the like building up in your head. It's going to be this scary boogeyman. My world is going to implode. It's going to be worse than I could have ever imagined. But then when you take this step, when you do the thing, when you do the damn thing, you realize, oh my God, I was obsessing for no reason. And you know what happens? Strength. Like you step in, you take your power back. People ask me this all the time, especially on TikTok. And a lot of people on TikTok don't have the patience to watch longer form videos. Right. And I've explained it in so many readings, but on TikTok specifically, people ask me, as a divine feminine, how do you take your power back? And I'm like, well, it's not just like a 1-sentence answer. There's so many ways to take your power back, right? Go watch a YouTube video or something, you know what I mean? But whatever, book a reading, whatever. In their divine timing, they will figure it out. But this is kind of what I'm seeing here. And it's not necessarily a gender thing. And it's also not necessarily a divine feminine thing. It is masculine energy. It's feminine energy. Everybody has divine feminine energy. And what's happening, it feels like, is this opportunity to embrace our inner strength. And guess what our strength is? Vulnerability. It's trusting. It's allowing. It's receiving. Do you know how scary? It's exactly what I was talking about with the Choose Your Own Adventure book. It is so scary. And that's like a very, like, obviously nothing bad can happen. That's reading a book. It's a pastime. But in life, that just goes to show you how scared I was of trusting as a little child, trusting that I chose right, that I correctly was a co-creator of my reality. Like I didn't have that faith or that trust. So it's very scary in this society, in this matrix, in this world that we live in, that, that we've all co-created, that we're all a part of. It's very, very scary to trust in that feminine impulse, to trust in the divine feminine energy within us. But the thing is, it is I was going to say it's like our solace. And yeah, I guess it is. It's the womb. It's the 0 point. It's where all creation begins from, in that void space. That is like, you can't skip into the masculine output creation without the feminine. I mean, look, we've built a world on that, and you can see that things don't really work super well, do they? And now we're kind of having to backtrack. We're having to retrace our steps as a society, as a collective. And you see that in the twin flame collectives, right? Look at the masculines and how they neglected their feminine impulse for so long. And then we're in this rise of the divine feminine collective, and we're doing it really big, really strong. And that's for everybody, right? That's not a gender thing, because like I said, we all have this divine feminine energy, and we're all having to reclaim it. We're all having to go through kind of like a reparations process of like how we have hurt the feminine, how we have abused, how we have taken advantage, how we have raped literally the feminine energy within us all, and the guilt and the shame that we have about that. And we all carry that. And, we've all lived past lives of being the oppressor and the abuser and the victim, and we've all done it, right? So even if you're a woman in this life and you really identify with the pain of women, I guarantee you've been a man in a past life and you were an oppressor of women. Especially at this stage in your spiritual journey, you've definitely lived lower expressions journeys. Like you've been an asshole. Let's just put it like that. You've been an asshole. Okay. Unless you're an angelic, which y'all are very rare. And I love you so much. And we're so grateful you're here, because there are some people that incarnate as angelics, and you haven't had many human incarnations. So much information coming out. This feels like really good energy. I got to be honest, like, especially what I'm tapping into for this collective, I feel really positive things coming for you, but there will always be shade. There will always be shade. There will always be opportunities. But really, this energy that fell on the ground, this Empress with the Strength card, I guess I didn't share what it was. This feels so solid. This feels like a reclamation, like it's like coming home to the feminine within you. And that could be literally, that could very much be literally. I've been channeling kind of more esoteric today, where I guess we've talked about some practicalities and some real world things, but for the most part, the energy has wanted to stay up here. And I think it's because of the High Priestess energy. And because, you all are so specific with such specific lives and experiences. So it's going to be different for all of you. But it does feel like this reclaiming of that feminine energy, embracing the feminine as strength, embracing the feminine and the vulnerability as a superpower for all, right? That's the opportunity. And so those in the world that are not doing that, those in the world that are still kicking the feminine and shoving it down, literally, figuratively, externally, internally, whatever, this could be a very challenging eclipse. So that's fun. I think I'm going to leave it there. That was like all over the place, way more tangent-y than I intended. However, it's never about me, is it? Okay, I'm sending you all so much love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for going on this fun little ride with me. If you enjoyed this content, please like. That really helps spread the content so other people can see it. It's the algorithm. I really don't understand how any of it works, to be completely honest with you. But the more you comment, the more you engage on this channel with my energy. It's an energy exchange, so it really supports me. It helps me a lot. And I am able to tap into your energy more clearly for reading, so that I can pick up more personal messages for you in those in all the readings I do. If you are interested in a personal reading, that information is down below, so you can check that out. My books are still open. I will potentially be closing down the books towards the end of May, but I will give you ample warning. That's just something that's something that's coming up. And if you're interested in joining the beautiful Patreon community, that link is down below. There are extended readings there. There's so much content, honestly. There's human design classes, there's ascension classes, there's transmissions, there's energy healings. There is personal shares about my own twin flame journey and vulnerable things. And what else? There's invocations, mantras. There's a ton of stuff in there. So check it out if that interests you. It's a very safe community, and it's small, so people can really like share and yeah, people that might not normally share on a big platform can share in there. So if you're looking for community, that's another bonus. All right, I'm sending you all so much love. Have a beautiful, beautiful new moon eclipse, and I'll see you when I see you. Lots of love.